what does it mean to come back here and be able to play or just as an opponent tonight?
Yeah, AZ was good to me, but I'm way happier where I'm at now. It was good to see people. It was fun to play in front of some fans. But for me, I'm way happier in Indiana.
That had to have been one of, if not the most embarrassing loss of the season for the Indiana Fever so far. We lost to the Atlanta Dream earlier.
The Indiana Fever's road trip ended in absolute disaster, a crushing 95-60 blowout at the hands of Phoenix. The night brought 2 more brutal injuries, plenty of post-game trash talk from Diana Taurasi, and one fiery response from Sophie Cunningham that stole the spotlight. In this video, we'll break down exactly what went wrong in Phoenix, Sophie's gutsy effort to keep the Fever in the fight, and, most importantly, her explosive podcast revelations about how Taurasi really walked out on the team. Sophie didn't hold back when talking about professional courtesy and saying goodbye. And you won't believe what she said. If you're riding with Sophie, drop a hashtag #SpicySophie in the comments. Let's dive.
The season, 77-58. We lost to the Valkyrie earlier in the season, 80-61. And tonight, against the Phoenix Mercury, we lose 95-60.
You could tell something was off from the opening tip. The Fever couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat in that first quarter. Shots clanged off the rim, passes were intercepted like gift-wrapped giveaways, and Phoenix was running away with it before most fans even finished their popcorn. This wasn't just a sluggish start, it was a full-on offensive meltdown unfolding in real time. The stat sheet tells the ugly truth every Fever fan wishes they could erase. Just 34.3% shooting from the field, a miserable 7-for-30 from deep, and a staggering 22 turnovers. Those giveaways turned into 42 easy points for Phoenix. When you're surrendering more points off turnovers than you're scoring from 3, you're not just in trouble, you're already buried.
This team practice. What I saw tonight looked like what I saw a month ago. Looked what I saw 3 weeks ago. Absolutely no offensive game plan. I thought this motion offense is when it's nobody's night, night in and night out. Everybody's allowed to have a night. If Kelsey Mitchell doesn't play well, it needs miraculous efforts from the rest of the team to pick this up. Sophie Cunningham played great tonight. Kelsey Mitchell had a bad game. Bad game. Where's everybody else?
The real gut punch came when Sydney Colson went down with a non-contact knee injury that had everyone in the arena holding their breath. Moments later, Ari McDonald was hobbling with a foot issue, and just like that, the Fever's already thin rotation became paper-thin. Losing 2 key players in the middle of a blowout felt less like a setback and more like getting kicked while you're already on the floor.
Steph, obviously, Sid had that injury and Ari left, I think, in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
What's the status of?
Well, it's Sid's left knee, Ari's right foot, and we'll get some more evaluation when we get home tomorrow and see where we are.
Phoenix dominated every facet of this game, out-rebounding Indiana 44-32 and making the Fever look completely lost on both ends of the floor. Possession after possession, it felt like the Mercury were playing chess while Indiana was still trying to learn checkers. Phoenix's relentless defensive pressure created chaos from the jump, and the Fever never found a way back.
Cunningham making her return to Phoenix, and it seems as if nobody on our team other than Sophie Cunningham felt any type of emotional connection to this game. DeWanna Bonner just got done doing your team absolutely dirty. You guys escape with a victory when they come to Indiana, and you wipe your hands of it like it's all over and finished with. No, it goes both ways. You don't think we want to beat her on her home court? You don't think we want to get a W for Sophie Cunningham, making her return to the team that she spent her whole entire career with up until this point?
Sophie Cunningham was the lone bright spot for the Fever, showing up ready to battle from the opening tip. She poured in 18 points on efficient shooting while the rest of the team searched in vain for any offensive rhythm. Sophie fought tooth and nail to keep the score from becoming an even bigger embarrassment, but one player can only do so much against an entire squad firing on all cylinders.
Sably, tough shot, wasn't square, and here comes Indiana. Cunningham, another 3. Oh my goodness, Sophie Cunningham!
This game meant just as much to Sophie Cunningham as it did to the Indiana Fever when DeWanna Bonner made her return. The only difference is nobody on the Indiana Fever had Sophie Cunningham's back this time around. Sophie Cunningham was the only player trying hard. The only player giving effort, play in and play out. The only player getting into it with Alyssa Thomas, getting into it with DeWanna Bonner, getting into it with Kalia Copper, while everybody else just mailed it in. This game was embarrassing, folks.
The atmosphere in the arena was brutal for anyone in Fever colors. Frustration was written all over the faces in the crowd as the deficit grew wider and wider. To make matters worse, the Mercury celebrated every made shot and defensive stop like it was Game 7 of the finals. This wasn't just a cold shooting night with a few unlucky rimouts. It was a total system collapse that exposed just how fragile Indiana's depth becomes when injuries start piling up.
You know, it was, yeah, I don't know, emotions are kind of high. Honestly, it's just been a journey to get back to just being happy playing basketball again. Yeah, I'm just, the joy, trying to find that for a minute. Basketball was kind of like off the radar for me a little bit. I didn't know if I loved it anymore. Like, I had a long conversation with Alyssa, so just to feel that again, feel that energy, feel this from that building was just amazing. And I feel like it was a game that I needed to, you know, remind me like I loved it.
And then came the post-game fireworks. Diana Taurasi couldn't resist taking a victory lap after torching her former team for 23 points. She talked about finding her edge and how emotionally charged this return felt, like she'd just scaled Mount Everest. At one point, after hitting her first three-pointer in months, and after losing her starting spot to Lexi Hull, she sprinted down the floor and called Hull a bum to her face. For 40 minutes, Taurasi wasn't just playing basketball. She was staging a one-woman show aimed at humiliating her former teammates. She got into repeated confrontations with Hull, stared her down after made buckets, and even got chippy with Sophie Cunningham whenever they shared the court. Every move felt calculated, every reaction designed to make the Fever feel it. After the game, Taurasi tried to frame it as a personal revival. Emotions were high. Honestly, it's been a journey to get back to just being happy playing basketball again. For a while, I didn't even know if I loved it anymore. Alyssa and I had some long conversations about it. Tonight, I just felt that joy again. Felt that energy in the building. It was amazing. A game I needed to remind me why I love this. This coach Nate Tibbetts couldn't stop gushing over Bonner's fire in his post-game remarks, crediting her veteran experience and claiming this matchup had reawakened her competitive spirit. From the way he told it, you'd think Bonner had been storing up months of energy just to unleash it against Indiana. Phoenix played the entire game like it was personal business, not just professional basketball, and Bonner was at the center of every ounce of drama. She was in the thick of the trash talk, punctuating every made shot with a hard stare, and turning every defensive stop into another chance to jaw at the Fever bench. At one point, she even picked Sophie Cunningham clean, grinning as Sophie gave that innocent, "Who me?" smile no one was buying. This wasn't just competition, it was theater. And Bonner was the star. After the final buzzer, the contrast between the two teams was striking. Phoenix celebrated like they just won a title, mixing in more verbal shots at their opponents, while Indiana huddled up, focused on unity. Fever players checked on their injured teammates and talked about sticking together through adversity. It sucks, right? You never want to see anyone get hurt on any team, one Fever player said. There's been a lot of injuries this year across the league, some really tough ones. Sid is still the heartbeat of our team, and she's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. This is just another hurdle we'll get over. Meanwhile, Bonner kept soaking in the spotlight. Right to the very end, Bonner's performance felt less like pure basketball brilliance and more like someone trying way too hard to prove a point to people who had already moved on. Every celebration came with extra flair, even as the Fever were focused on the far more serious matter of Sydney Colson's knee injury. The difference in post-game tone was glaring. In the Fever locker room, the talk was about unity and resilience in the face of adversity. In Phoenix's, it was practically a victory parade over beating a short-handed team missing key contributors. Bonner's 23 points couldn't hide the fact that her post-game attitude was a reminder of exactly why she never fit into Indiana's team-first culture. Then Sophie Cunningham stepped up and dropped the truth bombs that put everything into perspective on her podcast, Sophie recalled how Phoenix fans were upset when Fever supporters booed Bonner's return. "I don't believe in booing former players, unless they left, unlike some," Sophie said pointedly. She began by acknowledging Bonner's talent, calling her a Hall of Fame caliber player who can score from anywhere and was one of her vets back in Phoenix. Sophie even admitted that Bonner's signing with Indiana had been a surprise, but one she initially welcomed. "We'd take her in a heartbeat. She's a hell of a basketball player." But then came the bombshell. According to Sophie, when Bonner decided to leave Indiana mid-season, she didn't even send a text to her teammates. No goodbye. No explanation. Nothing. Think about that. Months of practicing together, traveling together, building relationships, and then you vanish without a single word. Sophie explained that Bonner was never happy in Indiana and that she personally wants players to be in situations where they can be happy. Still, her neutral stance on the matter shocked some fans. "She's toward the end of her career," Sophie said. "She deserves her flowers."